everybody, it's Zach, aka Zach's Reviews. We are back again with another video, and guys, today we're going to be talking about Peacemaker, episode 6, called Murn After Reading. And guys, this episode was crazy. I would say this is probably the most bad shit, crazy ass episode out of all of them so far. We got a lot of crazy things that are going down in this episode. We got a lot of things leading up to this episode, especially after last week's episode with episode 5, when, Annabelle finds out by using Peacemaker's, X-ray vision helmet that, she ends up finding out that Murn is a butterfly, and we did not know if she was going to survive Annabelle in this week's episode of Peacemaker. And we open up this episode with, Murn saying to Annabelle, quit it, cut it out, I'm not here to hurt you. And then, and of course, she's like, you're a butterfly, and then we see a car roll up, and guys, when the car rolled up, and we saw who we saw getting out of the car, I did not expect that Hardcourt knew that Murn was a butterfly, because that was a holy shit moment, and that's why she gave Murn that weird look in last week's episode, when he was putting down all the information and stuff, and she was looking at him in when they got back from that warehouse. And I was wondering why she looked at him like that, and it showed why, because she explains that I found out that Murn was a butterfly just by him giving us so much information when we got back from that warehouse, and I confronted him about it, and he was honest with me, and he told me what was going on. I mean, if he wanted to take over the planet, why would he be helping us? And that was true. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Why would he want? Why, if he was working with them, why is he helping them to take down, the butterflies, and why is he helping them, take out their food source? Because that's what they're pretty much trying to do, is take out the food source, because if you take out the food source, you kill them. Which kind of makes me very concerned for what happens in this episode, if that is true, because this was, again, a very graphic-ass episode, and they did not pull back on anything. I would say, this was the most graphic, the most, violence, besides the fact of the whole, in the gorilla. I feel like this might match the gorilla thing, but the gorilla, killing, when John killed that gorilla in last week's episode, was pretty damn graphic. But I would say this episode was very disturbing for what goes on in this episode, and what craziness goes on in this episode. So at this point, Annabelle knows, and they're like, and even, Hardcourt's like, oh, even John knows, and she's like, John knows? And she's like, yeah, he knows, but anytime, anytime, you're around us, or he talks about something, he ends up, plugging his ears when, he doesn't want to, talk about it anymore. And we see John do that in this episode. He's like, la 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 la, when he's like, oh crap, I don't want to know that Annabelle knows now. I don't like that I even know this and that, because I feel like also John's kind of spectacle. Maybe he doesn't fully trust Murn. Maybe he doesn't like how he's the only one that knows. Maybe he's like, oh crap, I don't like how I know, and this and that, because he probably doesn't want to keep the secret away from Peacemaker and, Annabelle and stuff. He probably felt iffy about it, and especially for what he knows about the butterflies. But it is true, Murn is giving them so much information, you know what I mean? And we end up finding out that it isn't, Murn. It was, it was, I forget what his actual name was, the butterfly's name, but he said that, Annabelle's like, but you took over Murn's body, this person's body, you know what I mean? That's a monstrous thing you did. You're telling me that, yeah, you're not a part of your race, taking over people, but and you guys came here for, to live a good life, but your kind is taking over people. You're doing all this, and you took over somebody. You did what you're telling us that, what they did was bad, but you did the same thing. And he's like, trust me, I regret about it each and every day that I took over this person's life. But Annabelle, you need to understand, he was a bad man, Murn. And, I have to live with his memories every day. I have to live with what he did every day, and how much of a bad man he was. But I'm going to be honest with you, he could have had a redemption. And that was sad to hear, that this person that we'll never know could have had a redemption. And what really gave it away to Hardcore was when that explosion happened. When they tried getting Peacemaker and Vigilante, that was when she first realized that something was up with him, when he could take an explosion to the face and be fine. That kind of gave it away, on top of, she must have confronted him when she looked at him in that episode or whatever, when he was really giving us that information. But that was really what put her on the path of, he must be a butterfly, him taking the explosion. But all I know is that, he feels guilty for taking over Murn's body, but at the same time, if he was going to do it, he was going to do it to a bad person so that way at least could make him feel a little bit better, not just innocent people that these other butterflies that are trying to take over the planet are doing. So that at least made us feel a little bit okay with it, sort of like us, watchers. So going forward, with everything that was going on, and Peacemaker is back at his place, and him, and then here comes Vigilante. He ends up coming in, and what was funny because he knew that Vigilante was the one knocking on the door because he has a weird knock. He's like, "You have a weird knock, dude." And from there, that they're just, I guess, Peacemaker is feeding eagerly, and he is talking to Goth, which Goth is that, the one, butterfly that we shot in the episode with the dude that was torturing, Vigilante. And Vigilante's like, "Why do you still have it?" And he's like, "It kind of makes me feel like a badass. I needed this, kind of like how, like, people in other countries use tigers as pets and shit." And I was like, oh god. The jokes in here are so good that James Gunn puts in the show. It's just so funny. Like, that's so funny that dude, like, for me to feel like a man, I need to get, like, I'm going to use a dangerous animal, kind of like how people use tigers as dangerous, like, because, as their pets. So I'm going to use this butterfly since it's dangerous as my pet to make me feel like a man. It's so funny what James Gunn does. How he, like, he just calls people out on their shit, because that's probably why people do that stupid shit. So I just love how James Gunn just called that shit out. I just thought that was funny. But, and then we see, Goth pretty much writing a peace sign. And that's when, Vigilante's like, what is he doing? Goth doing? And he's just writing a peace sign. And that automatically made me concerned on what the hell is going on. Because, mind you, back at the police precinct, that one shady guy that's working for Waller that was talking to Murn in last week's episode, he is still, trying to make sure that that Peacemaker's father doesn't get out of the prison, but also the other two agents, mainly the one agent, I forget what those two agents' names are. They're so easy to forget. It's like we're not focused on them enough where I can pick up their names. But her name is Detective Sophie, and also Larry Bone or Fitz, I don't know. I'm gonna call them Larry and Sophie. So Sophie and Larry. Sophie is so hell-bent on getting Peacemaker's father out of prison. When she ran the prints, found out that, Peacemaker's father wasn't lying, that he didn't kill that one person that died in Peacemaker's apartment. But even though he's a bad dude, he's not supposed to be in there for a crime he didn't do. Even though I still think she should have just left his ass in prison. Even the main dude that's shady, that's working for, Waller, which again, I'm gonna figure out that dude's name. His name is, Casper? His name's Casper? Yeah. So, yeah, Casper is shady as shit, and, he's a ghost, literally, Casper. Like, he's someone that's off the radar, off whatever, and is perfect to work with Waller. But he is pretty much the captain right now, and Sophie went behind his back, knowing that, Casper told, them to leave it alone, but she wouldn't, of course, do that, because she wants to get, Peacemaker's father out of prison, because again he didn't do it, and they want to get the real person, which again is Chris. So they end up going after Chris, and right now Vigilante and Peacemaker don't know what the hell is going on right now. So they are just trying to figure out what Goth is trying to write, why he wrote the Peacemaker symbol, and they're asking a yes or no questions, and like, for yes, hit yes, for no, knock on the glass twice. And of course, Vigilante is saying stupid shit, and then Peacemaker's like, dude, he can only answer yes or no questions. He can't answer, like, what's his favorite color, you know what I mean? Like, that's not how it's gonna work. And he's like, oh, but I like how, like, Adrian's like, but what if it helps? What if we need to know his favorite color? And then, Chris is like, dude, that doesn't make any freaking sense, but it does kind of make sense, because whatever, it's the arguments they have is so stupid, but it works so well with their characters, because they're not bright, and they even mention that again in this episode. We just, with the lack of brightness they have, and even, Peacemaker's mentioned to everybody, like, you guys think I'm dumb, and we're dumb, but we're not, and Vigilante does not help the problem with that. But, also, I just forgot, and just popped into my head, we did get a scene, before Peacemaker goes back to his, his trailer, we get, a scene where he is actually, goes in for, like, a show, or, like, not like a show and tell, but it's kind of like a bring your family member to work day. And we end up getting a moment where, like, from the one dude that was in the hospital in the first episode with Peacemaker, and they smoked weed together. He invited Peacemaker to go to his daughter's school to pretend to be like, their uncle or something, or like the dude's little girl's uncle or something, or cousin or something like that, to make all the other kids jealous that she knew a superhero. And there was a moment where he's just, and it all goes back to what Hardcore, I think it was Hardcore, and it was Anabayo when they called him out for him being a bully, and Vigilante's like, hey, that's just how he deals with people, him giving people, bad names, rude nicknames and stuff, and he literally does the same damn thing he said he doesn't do in this episode. He called somebody, he called somebody, Urkel, he called this one kid, a Rubik's Cube winner 2020 or 2021, or Rubik's Cube winner 2021 or 2022. I said, Jesus, that's so messed up. Like, the jokes he gave all these little kids, and the one little girl, which is the daughter to the one dude that smoked weed with him in the first episode, she asked, oh, do you have an origin story? And to find out, the origin story for him is he actually killed his brother. I did not know that. I thought somebody else killed his brother, like somebody that fought him, or maybe the father. But I was like, that wouldn't make any sense if the father did, because his father really loved his other son, which I don't know if it was his older son or his youngest son. I'm pretty sure. I'm thinking his oldest son. But that must have been really hard that Peacemaker, I'm assuming, did that by accident, because it seems like that's what he did, and that's why his father's been blaming Peacemaker all these years for killing his favorite son, which was his brother. So that's something that I don't know if anybody else picked up on, that he's the one that did it, but he's the one that killed his brother, and that made me upset, made me very sad for him, even made me care more for Peacemaker that he didn't want to do that. His brother was somebody he loved, but I think it was an accident. He didn't mean to do it, and that just makes me even feel worse for Chris's character on that his father has done this to him, all in the fact of he never loved Chris as much as he loved his older son that died, and he's blaming Chris for his other son dying, and he turned him into who he turned him into. So that's just all great storytelling, where it's like I really care for Peacemaker and what he, like, you care for him, and I feel like he really has been going on a journey leading up to the point of, like, I don't think of him kind of like we've been seeing throughout these episodes of him not wanting to kill, or him feeling guilty about killing, and we're seeing that throughout the episodes, and we really see it in this episode. So at this point, they're doing these, things, trying to get, information from Goth on why he's making the Peacemaker symbol. And at this point, that's when Anabayo, Murn, and Hardcore and John are all trying to call Peacemaker to say, hey, the police are on the way. We just got notified that Sophie and, Larry and all them are all getting sent there. And I'm pretty sure they got the information from Casper, because Casper was put in there to pretty much get these detectives off the scent of the prints being forged. There was like a being switched about and in the shady prints to put Peacemaker's father in prison instead of Chris, because he's doing everything with the side group of Waller trying to get this alien situation dealt with. So that was very stressful on the fact of, we know the police are coming from from Sophie giving the green light to arrest Peacemaker. They're all giving pseudonym saying, if you don't resist shooting him, because he will kill you. And I was like, oh, great crap, what's going on? And them trying to figure, when they finally get the call from, because Murn has to call Vigilante because Peacemaker's not picking up the phone. So Vigilante's ringtone is "I'm a Barbie girl," and I was crying. I was like, Jesus. I was like, that's so funny. And of course he's like, he's like, hello, who is this? Because of course, they don't have his number. And that's why he's like, oh, who is this? Oh, and they're like, Vigilante, we need to talk to Peacemaker. And he's like, I don't know who Vigilante is. Who's that? I think you have the wrong number. And then, of course, Peacemaker hears it and says, okay, Murn, what do you want? And he's like, dude, there's a police force headed to your place right now. They're going to have you surrounded in a couple of minutes. You need to get out of there. But they're already there, surrounded. The trailer is surrounding him, but he doesn't know yet until he knows by seeing them. And they have to get out of there with Goth. And I thought for sure when Peacemaker opens up the top hatch to to the trailer and ends up throwing Eagly up there, I thought for sure that one cop that was very jittery was going to shoot Eagly, and I was about to flip out. I was like, oh god, is Eagly gonna die right here? Because you're surrounded by police force that are very jumpy right now, because again you're going against somebody that kills people for a living, and I could already tell that they were all jittery because they're going against someone that kills people and is really good at killing people. And we see the moment where like Eagly goes up, and it senses the one officer enough to be like, okay, the Eagle's up there, but not enough to shoot it. I was like, okay, God, thank the Lord. And then Peacemaker gets up, and then he has to get Vigilante out of there, but Vigilante is literally taping Goff to his like back, so that way he has his free hands just in case he needs to like throw knives at people or shoot people or do something. So at this point, Peacemaker gets him up there, and they have to climb over to a tree while Sophie and all them, the police force, break into the trailer, and they're just searching the place. And at this point, I forgot, but I was at the same time, I'm like, oh god, the journal's in there, and what does that journal have to do with anything? Because we saw Annabelle put the journal in there. I didn't know what the journal was. I didn't know if it was actually Peacemaker's, or it was something that she was just planning there. But it turns out she was planning it there. I'm not quite sure what for, but Waller must have told her to put this journal in there. My sister thinks like they were going to plant it there just in case Peacemaker was out of line, to make it that he was behind everything. Or maybe that was the plan when Peacemaker was done dealing with it, and whatever casualties he might have made, maybe they were always planning to blame it on him. I don't know, because I don't have enough information yet. Or maybe I'm going to what my sister might have thought on, maybe they wanted to plant it there just in case Peacemaker went out of line, so they could just get an easy way to get him back into prison and then get him shipped off back to Waller somehow, behind the scenes, because there's some shady police working with Waller and stuff. So I'm thinking that's probably why, but it got found too soon on the fact that they got sent there, Sophie. They ended up finding it, one of the agents, and while that's going on, when he ends up finding the journal, Sophie ends up, while Vigilante and them are, Peacemaker jumps over, and then there's this little this moss on the tree, and I thought that was going to make Vigilante slip when he jumped over, but it wasn't until the moment where they're trying to talk to each other, and Vigilante's about to throw a knife at Sophie, because Sophie saw the trees rumbling and saw the eagle, and she went behind the trailer to look and see what was going on. And next thing you know, he's like, we don't kill cops. And then what? And then Vigilante's like, what'd you say? We don't kill like, I forget what he says. Like, he's like, she's a cop, and then he's like, she's a mop or something, and then he's like, no, dude, we don't kill cops, dude, or whatever. And he's like, he puts the knife away. He's all sad about doing it. He's like, oh dang it, and then next thing you know, what happens is that he's like, oh, like, I thought, why'd you want, like, I forget what brought it up, but he's like, oh, like, why did you come over here anyways? He's like, oh, I thought we would get, he's like, oh, where's your car? And he's like, I took an Uber. He's like, why'd you take an Uber? He's like, I thought we were going to get drunk. And he's like, oh, he's like, what? He said, and then he falls out of the tree, lands on the jar that has Goth in it, and I was like, shit. And I knew it was going to take over Sophie, and that annoyed me. I'm like, oh, great. So we're going to have to kill her eventually, and she's just a person that's wanting to is trying to do good. And that made me bummed out when we saw Sophie getting taken over by a butterfly, because now she has to get shot in the head. She has to die, because as we all know, I'm kind of holding off. Maybe if their food source dies, they'll die, but my sister's like, it looks so painful that I don't think that there is any other way to save them once they get taken over by a butterfly, so I think they have to get shot. So, which I'm really holding out hope if they run out of the food source, they'll just die, and the people will survive. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that Peacemaker and their team are going to have to kill them. I feel like they're gonna have to kill Sophie and all of the people, because we've seen that so far. That's the only way, from what we know so far, that they have to get shot and to take them out, to kill off a butterfly. So going forward with that, where that happens, and the one dude finds the journal in the trailer, one of the agents give it to Casper, and Casper's like, oh, well, I'll take it from here, agent, you just keep looking, go look in the back, do this, do that. And at this point, Sophie and I think Larry are gone. They went somewhere else, or actually no, at this point I think they're looking, or maybe that already happened. I think that happened already. Yeah, I think the whole after that happens, where like Sophie's down, all the agents run out, like Larry and all the other agents go, and I guess the Casper thing didn't happen yet. So there's a big chase sequence out into the forest where like they're getting chased down, and Eagly is helping them, but like also Vigilante's just throwing knives at cops, and of course like Peacemaker's like, we don't know, we can't do that, we can't kill cops, let's go, trying to run away. But Eagly is taking them out, pecking out people's eyes, hit one agent so hard that his head smacked off like a rock on the ground. Like, it was a cool sequence. I loved that angle where Eagly was like flying between Vigilante and Peacemaker, and he's just taking out all of them, but he's killing police officers. And that was already enough of a problem where like when they get to the point of, okay, like we gotta get out of here, and they think they're surrounded by these agents, by these police officers, they get taken down by Casper. Because Casper's like, no, there's a car over there waiting for you, get out of here. And, Peacemaker's like, who the hell are you? Because Peacemaker does not know who this dude is, because Waller sent him in. And I guess he worked with Murn before, or Murn and him have met before. But of course, that's not... Murn doesn't really know, I might not know enough, even though, but he does have memories, so maybe he does know how bad enough Casper is, to the point of, okay, this shit's getting out of hand, okay, we're like, because they didn't keep people up to date on Murn's partner, Murn's, like, other, like, person coming in that Waller sent in. They don't know anything about that. At least I think Waller sent him in, that's what I'm thinking. Again, we don't really know enough where I'm thinking that's Waller did send him in, but it's just craziness right now. So at this point, Peacemaker and Adrian are like, at least, especially Peacemaker's like, oh shit, you just killed those police officers. Who the hell are you? And why are you giving us a car to get out of here? And he was just shooting them, even though after he already shot them, he just kept shooting them and stuff. So Peacemaker at this time is like, oh god, we gotta get out of here. And they take the car and they're driving off. Eagly's in the car. And that's when, the next thing you know, here comes Larry, and he sees their bodies, the agents' bodies, with Sophie. And at this point, Sophie's not Sophie, it's Goth. And Larry's like, oh crap, you know what I mean? It was Peacemaker that did this. And then he's like, no, it wasn't Peacemaker. It was, he was describing the mascot of McDonald's, the Hamburglar. And I was like, geez, he's describing, and it was funny because I didn't really get it. It's when he was like putting down the hints to the Hamburglar until Larry took Sophie out of there or was following Sophie to, get her checked out, and she's just getting into the car, and he's like, Sophie, I think he described the Hamburglar, and I feel like there's something, suspect going on here, but of course it's not Sophie, it is Goth, and he has his own agenda on getting Peacemaker out of the equation. And that all comes to the term of when Casper ends up finding the journal from the agent. He ends up putting it away, and the agent, like the one officer, was like, "Oh, that's like." It seemed like he made the face like, "Oh, why are you putting it in your jacket? Shouldn't you be putting it over in the evidence bin and stuff?" And he's like, "Okay, you're fine." Go keep searching, trying to like get it, like trying not to make him think that it's not suspect that your captain is taking evidence and putting it in his jacket. So he's like, oh, keep going, officer. Keep looking for, some more stuff, some more evidence. And then we see Casper leave. He ends up going back, locking it up in this office. And I'm like, okay, like, is he trying to keep the information from getting out? But I think, as we all know, what ends up happening is that Sophie ends up coming back with a whole lot of the butterflies at that point, and it makes it very difficult to the point of now she has taken over the precinct. So Goth is took over Sophie, took over the precinct, and they're all now butterflies, and they now have that journal that Casper hid away in his drawer. So, and that was just enough evidence that I wish Antibio didn't put in there, because I don't think she expected that's what would happen, where these butterflies would do anything and everything to keep Peacemaker out of their mission, out of them taking over the planet. So they figure, okay, we're going to use this information and say Peacemaker's behind everything, because he's already a villain in itself. So while that's going on, and we end up seeing Peacemaker getting framed, or whatever, for everything that's going on, and that's pretty much how the episode ends. But also with cool little moments of which made me happy and also sad, is that Peacemaker at this point, when he gets back to their hideout, he is already like, who the hell was that dude? And then Murn's like, oh, you mean, Murn's like, oh, he's like describing the one dude saying, oh, this one person, killed a whole bunch of, cops and then gave us a car and let us leave. And he's like, oh, Casper or whatever. He's like, yeah, who the hell is that dude? And he's all stressed out right now and he doesn't know who to trust. And he doesn't know, like, and Anabio is like, and I love how, like, Murn's like, oh, they found a journal, because, like, when they come in, he's like, oh, they found a journal of yours, and he's like, in Peacemaker's, I don't carry a journal, and, like, already, like, it made Peacemaker, antsy with, like, everything that happened there, to everything that with this journal, and then, Anabio is acting very weird, and he's catching up, he's sensing that, and just him, he's like, I thought we were all a team, and you guys aren't telling us things. You guys are all being quiet. Like, what aren't you guys telling us? I know you think we're stupid, but we're not. And he's like, I thought we were a team. That made me sad, especially after last week's episode, is we get that team moment where we see Hardcore really, like, open up, again with the 11th Street kids group chat, and she's really considering them as a team, a family. And the fact that he said, I thought we were a team, and they're all keeping secrets away from Vigilante and Peacemaker, and it's like, it's really sad, because especially when after, like, he's like, they go through the fact of, like, he's like, you think we're stupid, but we're not, and then we see Adrian in the corner saying, who's Eagly, me or that, which one's which? And then he's like, okay, I see why you think we're dumb, but, I schools for nerds or whatever, because he says, like, oh, I know that if you don't, something to at least pass is whatever, and he's like, no, they're like, it's this. He's like, I hate school's for nerds. But the one moment, again, that really made me sad, that, like, he feels like, and this is, like, what's, I feel like, really, they're not united, because he thinks they're keeping secrets for them. He's like, I thought we were a team. On top of the police, him finding at the end of this episode that the police are now going after him, thinking he's behind everything from this journal that's not his, that Anabio planted there. He knows that Anabio is keeping something hidden from him, especially because he looked at her looked at her and she's just looking away, and then you can tell it's intensely that he knows she's keeping secrets from him, and how she knows, if anybody was able to plant that, I feel like he's going to realize it was Anabio, because she was in his place majority of the time, that especially the last time, to really have the time to put something in there and plant it. And I feel like and also we get to the point where, like, she gets a text earlier in the episode from her girlfriend saying, we need to talk ASAP because of the voice message that Anabio left for her. And she even says to, her girlfriend, like, I feel bad that, I'm lying to somebody, one of my colleagues. I feel bad, you know what I mean? I don't want to lie to him anymore. I feel bad for what I did, and you can tell it's really getting to her, and she's realizing she's becoming her mother, and that's what's very interesting to me, is how this is all going to play out, because he trusts Anabio. We've noticed that throughout the series, is that's the one person he trusts and the one person he thinks that really gets him. But there was a really nice moment that we got between Chris and between Hardcore, and this was right after the meeting was done. Anabio left, and she's with her girlfriend right now, saying, I feel bad for lying to one of my colleagues. I feel bad that everything has happened the way it's happened, and I haven't been responding to you, I haven't been with you, I'm turning into my mother, this and that. And at this point, her girlfriend's like, why don't we just leave, and we'll leave this job behind, and we can go back to Gotham, which that's where they live. They live in Gotham. I would not want to go back there. I'm gonna be honest. If shit, for what we know about Gotham, I would not want to live in Gotham. So the fact they lived in Gotham, I'd be like, okay, this is a vacation away from Gotham. But I'm shocked they want to go back there, but they're going back to Gotham, so that must be where they live. So at that point we get, I don't know what Vigilante's up to either. And again, we know the people that know Murn isn't Murn, but is somebody else, and knows that, he's a butterfly, is now, Anabio, of course, Harcourt knew, and John knew. So I don't know how that's going to get out or when that's going to get out, but that's going to be very interesting, and when that gets out, and when we end up finding out that Chris ends up finding out when that Anabio put that journal there, because I feel like he's going to put the pieces together, like, you're the only one that had in my place, you did it, and it hurts the most because I trusted you the most, and I never thought you would do that to me. And especially also, again, that when I feel like the big one is going to be when they all find out that Anabio's mother is Waller. That's what's going to really kick things into gear, and that's going to be, I feel like, what divides the team entirely. I feel like that's what's going to do. I feel like Peacemaker will leave when he finds out what Anabio did, but what's really going to split up the team is the Waller thing for everybody. I think that's what's going to do it. But I'm interested to see how all this is going to play out. So that one moment I'm talking about right now, the really, touching moment between Hardcore and and Chris was the moment where Hardcore is she is engraving the Dove of Peace on a gun. But of course it's reversed. But it was cute though that she gave it to him and says, "Oh, here, look at this." And he's like, "A gun?" And he's like, and she's like, "I put the Dove of Peace on there." And that was touching to me because he complained about that when they were still getting used to each other. And she thought it was stupid, but it's something that really he really cares about. And she just wants to make sure next time that if they do give him a gun, he can make the shot, because he claimed he couldn't do that because there was no Dove of Peace on it. So that was a really nice moment and touching that, she's really, and you could really tell it really made her savage. Like, I thought we were a team when he said that, and you could really tell it really got to Hardcore. So I feel like, she wants to make sure that, they are friends, they are a team, and that really was touching to know that she would do that for him, make the Dove of Peace, knowing that it meant so much to him, even though it was reversed. She was like, he's like, but the wing is reversed, and she looks at him like, and he's like, but thank you though, and and she's like, did Anabayo go home yet or whatever, and she's like, yeah, but and you can just really tell that at that moment, he opens up saying, like, I know I don't want to kill anymore. And that was like when she was like, you can't just go all like peace on us right now, not wanting to kill anybody. We need you to do that because we're fighting an alien invasion. And he's like, no, I can kill aliens. I just don't want to kill people anymore. And she's like, okay, well, she ends up saying goodnight, Chris, or whatever. And he's like, goodnight. And and at that moment he's like, he doesn't really know her name, but she knows his name. And that's when we get Hardcore's actual name was I think it was I'm trying to figure out, I want to make sure what it was. I think it was Amelia. Yeah. Which was like, she just said her name. Like, it's so warm, and it's so like, it made me happy. It's like she's opening up. I never thought out of all the other characters she would be the one to open up, because remember, like I've been telling everybody in these reviews, is that from what I'm gathering from what James Gunn is showing us, is that she is the lone wolf. She doesn't consider anybody friends, or she considers them, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? She doesn't consider anybody friends. She just considers them colleagues, nothing, no more. No, she doesn't want anybody knowing her personal life or what her actual name is. But she gave, out of everybody that she gave her actual name, and God knows if John knows her actual name, probably not. But she gave, Chris, Peacemaker, her actual name, saying, my name is Amelia. I never thought I would, you know what I mean? It just, it really warms my heart to see that, and see how much of a connection there that is growing between Peacemaker and, or Chris and Amelia. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was really cool. I was like, okay, you know what I mean? So I'm hoping he can always trust her, but I feel like we're getting to the point where it's going to really hurt her when he says, I can't trust any of you guys. You know what I mean? And that's what's going to be sad. I feel like we're gaining on on that moment, because again, this was episode 6. We have 2 more episodes left. And shit is getting crazy, especially with the whole entire police force going after him. And not just that one, other police forces apparently, because if one police force gives out this information from this journal, even though it's not true, and Anabayo put it there, along with, along with, Goth taking over, getting all of his butterfly friends to take over everybody else, and give that information out, all these other police, task force, places are all going to go after Peacemaker, along with just some random citizens that are probably going to be going after Peacemaker and all that. So he has to worry about that too, along with him feeling like he can't trust his team, along with him feeling like, he doesn't even know yet, but, Peacemaker's father got out, the White Dragon, and he gathered his racist clan up to go take out Peacemaker. And he doesn't know that's happening. He does not know that his father is getting back in his White Dragon costume with his racist clan to go after him. He doesn't know. He does not know what Adrian did in prison, making it seem like that Peacemaker was behind it to go after him. He does not know any of that. You know what I mean? To go after his father, like, he doesn't know that Adrian did that, or even to the point of Anabayo is the one that kind of gave, Adrian the big idea to go after, Peacemaker's father. So I don't know how that's all going to go down. Like, he has so many people going after him right now, and he does need to. And it's terrible. The team is like almost breaking up to the point where it is kind of broken up. And I feel like we'll see that in the next episode where, like, that will probably be it for him. Like, he just won't want anything to do with the team anymore because they just aren't telling him the truth about, I mean, hell, they're not telling him about Murn. I wish they would have told them at least about what Murn is. You know what I mean? So it's like that, because that's really the big thing that they're keeping the secret of. But of course, Annabelle is keeping two secrets. Her mother being Waller and giving her that job to gain information on what's going on. And two, her planning the diary. So it's like, it's all craziness right now, guys. Like, this was the most craziest ass episode of Peacemaker. And I cannot wait to see these next two episodes because, again, I even called out saying that there was going to be a point where, like, Peacemaker and his father are going to fight. And I was right about that, and that's exactly what's happening. And I don't know. I think that's going to happen in the next episode because the next episode is called, I think it's called, what was it called? It was like Dragon something. Let me figure out episode guide. Yeah, stop dragging my heart around. Stop dragging my heart around, which is really funny, the name of these episodes. But I think that's what's going to happen in the next episode. Him and his father are going to fight, along with everybody else trying to go after him. And again, I don't know what Goff, by him taking over Sophie really does, and the police force really does, besides the fact, well, that's distracting enough now that they have now got so many people on Peacemaker that they can do stuff behind the scenes. I feel like that was the main point because Goff knew how much of a threat Peacemaker was because he's the one that, in his group is the people that took his, unit, his family down and stuff when he was pretending to be the senator or whatever. And I feel like that's why he's doing this, so that way Peacemaker is distracted. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going on with everything. So I don't know, guys, but I'm just super excited for next week's episode. Again, we only have 2 more episodes. I don't know how the season's going to end. All I know is I'm really looking forward to these big secrets getting out with Annabelle and the big secrets getting out with the group of them keeping it, keeping the information that Murn is a butterfly from, Vigilante and from Peacemaker. I'm wondering how this is going to affect it, especially when Peacemaker finds out his father is literally trying to kill him. I wonder how that moment's gonna happen. Maybe he'll know where their hideout is, and he'll just like attack them right then and there. I don't know. Anything can happen in these next 2 episodes, and I'm just loving what James Gunn is doing. He is just killing this series, and also I'm excited because I heard there's gonna be a spin-off series. I hope it's a Bloodsport spin-off series because I love that character Bloodsport. I think Idris Elba did an amazing job playing Bloodsport, and I would love to see a spin-off series if that's what James Gunn is going to be doing. If it's not going to be Bloodsport, I would love Ratcatcher. I love that character too, so I would be down for that. But other than that, like, he is killing it, and also I love that opening intro theme song. And that dance number is amazing. I literally get up and do it every single time that comes on. It's just so fun. And I'm loving this show. It has been a breath of fresh air for the DC universe, or for DC in general. And I'm just loving what they're doing. And it would be dumb not to let him do another series, which again they are. He's doing some other different series, along with I hope we get a Peacemaker season 2. I never thought I would say that about this character, but I love this character. Again, I didn't love this character at first from Suicide Squad, but I love this character now because James Gunn really got to flesh out this character, along with, I gotta give a shout out to John Cena. Like, he is killing this role. He is killing it. I thought he did a pretty good job when I watched him in Suicide Squad, but since I'm really caring and seeing the emotion with this character, I did not know John Cena was that, had that much of a range, but he has a range. Because then also I saw him in Fast, the Fate and the Furious or whatever, or like the new Fast movie I saw him in it, and I was like, okay, that's why I finally realized, okay, there might be something here. And I saw him, I don't know if Suicide Squad was first or that was first. I think Suicide Squad was first. Then he was in the Fast and the Furious movie. Let me know down in the comments below. I can't remember, but I kind of had a hint of, okay, I was like, okay, you're pretty good in this. But seeing his range in this, I feel like this was the first chance that we've really seen how good his range is with these emotional sequences. And he's just killing it. Shout out, good job, John. You're doing amazing, man. And I can't wait to see you in season 2 of Peacemaker and to see you do some other great projects, because now that I've seen your range on another level of I didn't know that you could, I didn't know you had. I'm excited to see what other projects you do going forward. But guys, that was my review again of Peacemaker episode 6. And I cannot wait for the next 2 episodes. Again, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications. Like this video, guys. I would love to have you guys here, part of this family. We're all about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. Literally, guys, we are almost at 500 subscribers. My goal is to get to 500. That is the main goal that I have right now. Along with, if we hit 500, I get to open the community tab. I get to talk to you guys, and I get to put polls up to ask you guys, what you guys would like to see here most on the channel. And just I get to put the polls on what movies or shows that you guys are most excited to see going forward that are coming this year, and just ask you guys, just talk to you guys down in the community page. You know what I mean? I get to open that when I hit 500. So please, yet again, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel and put in those notifications and like this video. It helps with the algorithm. I always say that, but it does. It helps push out my channel so we can get more fam members on this channel. So yet again, please subscribe. But guys, that was a video for Peacemaker episode 6, and I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next Thursday for Peacemaker episode 7. Peace.